Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Cantamina every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth at both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today, Mayur Kalbag is back with us. Welcome, Mayur.
Har Har Mahadev. Good to see you,
Har Har
Meena.
Mahadev. Yes. So before we start, Mayur, I just wanted to give a small piece of breaking news to people is that in the Sushant Singh case, friends, Siddharth Pitani has been given bail. Now, I find that very surprising because, needs to be questioned and he needs to be, especially since the government has changed in Maharashtra. And I believe that this is a quick game, to keep him away because with the coming of a new government, perhaps the case will be re-looked at. And perhaps that could be a move to get him out of the scene by the earlier government. So that's one news I wanted to tell you. And you know very well that Uddhav Thackeray, they wanted to, at some cost, not have SSR or Disha case come into the limelight. Yeah. So back to Mayur. And we did miss Mayur, I suppose all of you were asking. And so today's topic, we are going to talk about has the world changed since the time our parents were the ages when our parents were living? Has it become a little bit more vicious? Because the kind of cases that we see, or the fact that see our media is only focusing on negative news, I do not know. For example, you see a lot of cases of where mothers are killing their children, the fathers are killing their children, and not much people are not raising their eyebrows. For example, 2 days back, a 31-year-old woman killed her 3-year-old daughter before she took her own life in her apartment in RR Nagar, Bangalore South. The deceased has been identified as Deepa and her daughter Ria. They are survived by her husband, Adarsh, a software engineer who lived in the apartment. According to the police, the incident came to light on Thursday when Adarsh returned home after work. According to police, Deepa was depressed over health issues. In a suicide note, she wrote, "Nobody is responsible for it. I just felt life is full of problems. I'm sorry, Mum. And Divya, I love you, Shona." Deepa was on treatment for fever and stomach pain. She had spoken to her relatives around 5 p.m. Police have taken up the case of murder and unnatural death and handed over the bodies to the family members. In another case, an 18-year-old boy was killed by his father in RT Nagar, North Bangalore, in the early hours of Monday. Police suspect it to be the fallout of a quarrel that broke out between the teen because the teen demanded money and the father struck him with an iron rod at 5:30 a.m. The boy died and the father absconded. Now the police are looking for him. See, these are just a few cases, Mayur. If you look at
Mm.
some of the news coming in from Kerala, you'll be shocked. I mean, very close relatives killing each other, and the kind of I don't know whether they're all being inspired by Ekta Kapoor's serials, which are translated or these things are dubbed in different languages. Where everybody kills each other very easily, like over poison or fire or something. So I don't know whether the serials have something to do with it, but there are very, very, weird cases coming up, and I don't know what's happening because if you look at even your, people around you, you'll find very few people are really sincere in what they say or what they do. Now,
Mm.
for example, just as an example before you speak,
Sure,
Mayur, let me
sure.
just tell you one instance is that, see, when someone has told me, Meena, can you do that for me? You know, and I'll say, yes, if I can, and no, if I can't. But once I say yes, the commitment is within me. Now, till I accomplish that, I will not be able to sleep. So that's the kind that is a kind of sincerity. But that
Correct.
kind of thing doesn't exist anymore, Mayur. Maybe I'm being a little too cynical, but I find that people are they promise too fast. They don't fulfill anything. They just say it for it's like lip service, you know. So things are changing. Your views on that?
Sure. So before I start,
Yeah,
I would love to first welcome everybody and say hi to all of you, all the regular ones who keep joining
yeah,
you, your fans, Meena.
yeah, yeah.
A big shout out to everybody, and especially to some special people who always are there and who sort of miss me, like Karthik and Martin and everyone. So my namaskar, Har Har Mahadev to all of you.
Har Har Mahadev.
Um, When Meena, you sent me this particular topic as an opportunity to talk about, the first thing that ran through my mind is, um, sometimes it's easier to talk about paranormal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easier to talk about, the black magic and the those topics we also talk about a lot. But this is tough because this is behavioral. This is about attitude, and
Yeah.
it's such a complex thing, Namina. Um, I'd like to begin by just responding to what you said about, you know, a mother taking the life of her own child, and that to
Yeah.
a 3-year-old. I mean,
Yes.
even to say that it's saddening is an understatement, and it just numbs you. Um, it in fact makes me think about a word or two words, Meena, which is how I'm going to start off with. Is I think in the present times, Meena, mental wellness is very, very important, especially post the pandemic.
Yes.
I just saw a post on LinkedIn where a master trainer like me, I mean, I'm not a master, but a master trainer and all, and he put a photograph of his son in the hospital who's suffering with post COVID
Mm.
complications. He's like
Okay.
an 8-year old. And,
Okay.
he's like, he put it up only to request everybody to pray for him. What I'm talking about is it has affected, uh, especially post pandemic, it has affected the way we look at life.
Yes.
And rather than becoming more resilient, I've seen a lot of people have become either, and I don't say all, but I've seen people getting depressed to the extent that it has led to frustration and anger.
Yeah.
For example, a person I know for a fact took a loan and he couldn't, because then the pandemic hit, and then he was not able to, fulfill the loan obligations. He lost his job, and he's gone into depression because he has a child. And I believe that mental wellness, Meena, and the focus on that is very important in the present times. I
Yeah.
also feel that, there's, as you say, that relationships today are also measured, I feel, based on what you have and what I have more. Like I got an iPhone, and nowadays it's like an iPhone, which is A and whatever, that I don't use an iPhone. So even in those gradations you have, like somebody's got a more advanced iPhone and somebody hasn't got an advanced one. Look at the ones who use like us, the normal ones. There's this thing where we compare so much, and there is an element of jealousy as well. And sometimes that creates a barrier in relationships as well. The coldness that also we spoke about, in terms of pretending to be warm but actually feeling jealous, and it I see that affecting, young kids who are cousins, who are brothers. You spoke about the act of killing a child, right, or a
Yeah.
father,
Yeah.
sort of. But even at a normal level, I've seen that cousins today are not as close as how we used to be, because there were no comparisons, like iski shirt mere shirt se achhi kaisi. Maybe that was the only thing we did, is, oh, you got a better shirt than me, but it was okay. Today we compare. Oh, he's becoming a doctor, my son isn't. So then that affects,
Yeah.
because we then tell the child that, listen, he's doing so well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's studying better, what are you doing? And that, I think, also affects relationships. See, the way I
Yeah.
look at today's session is more philosophically or holistically about relationships, right?
Yeah. Mm.
Which go cold, which because of
But you know,
frustrations. Yeah.
Mayur, if you were take it in the larger context, okay.
Hmm.
See, some of the trademarks of, you would say, of Kali Yuga are that the rulers will become a danger to the world, and humans will
Hmm.
be angry at each other, and there will be climate change. Now, the
Hmm.
first point is very important because this is exactly what Maharashtra has shown us.
Hmm.
The three party power that
Hmm.
has just been destroyed now, or
Hmm.
defeated, showed exactly that. They didn't care two hoots about their
Hmm.
people. All they
Hmm.
cared about was making money and using religion to hit at each other. And they were using the underworld as well. So, what
Hmm.
happened was everything that was against the security of the people, they were
Hmm.
using it to terrify people. And
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
this was making people more angrier, jobs becoming more rare. And
True.
even if you're a good accomplished person, Another person will come because of his influence, and take your job.
Sure.
So
Sure.
all these things are, everything is detrimental to your well-being, as you said
Correct.
just now.
Correct, correct. And to take this forward, Meena, see,
Yeah,
I did mention holistic perspective on how relationships today are measured a little bit more by what he has, I don't have, or also with respect to, you know, the absence of respect for one another.
yeah,
Respecting one another is not only from the materialistic point of view. Like he's got a Mercedes Benz, so I'm going to respect him more. Well,
yeah,
that shouldn't happen. I think respect should be for values, right? There's a word which we talk about is being down to earth, being humble. So holistically, I think there has to be, I believe, a change in the way we look at people, we look at
yeah,
relationships. I At a very individual level, I can tell you that people who have come across who aren't spiritual, who aren't doing some sort of introspection, they're not doing self analysis, those are the people I have a, I wouldn't say I have a problem with. I sort of stay away because I feel that the way they measure the relationship between me and them is through materialistic aspects.
yeah,
So they say now that when somebody's doing very well, they'll have a lot of friends, and the moment the person, unfortunately, for example, he starts not doing so well, those friends go away.
go
There's a
away.
typical cliche. It's true as well,
Mm, mm.
but those are the friends who we don't need to have either ways.
Yeah,
So I was telling a friend of mine, and she was just talking about the fact that she lives alone and like she misses her friends. And I said you should have your own inner circle, who will
yeah,
always measure friendship not by how well you're doing or not well you're doing,
exactly. Yeah,
and you should measure the friendship by just the way the person is.
yeah,
I mean, there could be a person, I one of my very good friends, and I'm not being discriminative or differentiative. One of my very good friends used to be, a senior watchman or a security person, and whenever I would, go out, I would have a couple of chats with him, would get a vada pav and have. And I'm not saying I'm great or whatever. I'm just saying that that's a real relationship.
yeah,
I think coldness comes when the parameters of relationships change into materialistic connections.
yeah.
I've seen that
And
happen. Like suddenly people are very nice to a person who's become very rich, and I think that's where people need to change. That's why introspection. So people are spiritual,
mm,
even simple as practicing yoga.
mm,
You'll find that those are the people where you would want to have a lovely friendship or a connection or a rapport with them.
yeah,
But otherwise, we got to be careful about those who don't practice, spirituality or yoga or something to do with introspection.
yeah.
That's what I
Do you
feel.
also think, yeah, do you also think that, people take more than what they need because they want to have extra? For
Yeah,
example, food or cars or clothing, electronics, you name it, are all
yeah,
taken by people who actually don't need that much of them, but want more for themselves anyway. But
true.
are we getting worse, especially with the coming of electronic or you say get digital shopping thing like Amazon or Flipkart or where you can just order and it comes. So is that also a tendency where the greed for
Yeah.
more things is sort of you become obsessive, and that becomes more of your livelihood than anything else.
There's somebody who's just, I read a comment, it was very interesting. Like, how do we, and I'm just sort of paraphrasing that, the person said something about having materialistic things the real sign of success.
Yeah, yeah,
I just, it's, I think, scrolled up or something, but I read
yeah,
it,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and that's the problem, with a lot of us.
yeah,
Being honest, is we feel we've achieved success when we are able to buy a house, we're able to buy
yeah,
a car, we're able to take people out for dinner. It's all, again, measured by what we can do and what we have. But the core value system, I was just, when I read that statement, I said to myself that I think real success is when I'm able to sleep well at night.
yeah,
I don't have an iota of any guilt,
yeah,
except when I have too many ice creams.
yeah,
But on a serious note, I think real success is probably when is probably when you feel happy about something. I have to be very blunt with you. For some reason, when somebody else does well, okay, I feel very happy, and it's nothing. Again, it sounds like, oh wow, are you trying to sort of paint yourself like great? No, but I'm happy that I feel happy. for me somebody else's success is great, yeah.
Yeah.
And is it me? No, it may be, I'm sure they're the samskars that were instilled in me by my parents to feel happy for others. Do I feel envious? I do. I'm a human being. But does that come in the way I respect that person who's probably far better? No, I
Yeah.
don't think so, because I'm processing it. If I don't
Yeah.
process it, the envy turns into jealousy. And that's, I think, where the coldness happens.
Yeah.
I've had somebody come up to me, and I've seen the face drop when I, by mistake, because I was told, don't tell everything to everybody. And I'm like excited. So I said, I'm going to Fiji. This was happening during 2015. And the moment I said, I'm going to Fiji to conduct these workshops and all, I could literally see the person's facial expression just drop. Yeah. I literally went and tried to hold it because it was going to fall to the floor. And I'm of course exaggerating a little bit, but I could see the person's reaction was completely different to what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And therefore I think that uh, his measurement of relationship with me was more about, if he does excellent, then I'm not happy. If
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
okay, mediocre, I'll go and hug him. How is Mayu doing? He's okay. Oh, no worries. I'm there to help him out because he's happy. Unfortunately, there are certain kinds of natures in a human being which make them behave that way. A person sings excellent, okay, but makes one little error,
Hmm.
and one uncle will talk about the error,
Yeah.
and will not talk about the fact that 99% was beautiful.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Whoa, one besur you did, no? That I think you could improve, huh? Are yes, improve, yes, but at least tell that girl who sang that overall it was fantastic, but you can also work on this." But they
Yeah.
cannot do that because something stops them.
Yeah.
And this is what I think leads to, the coldness in a relationship. Yeah.
See, I think that in the earlier generations, see what really made them different was that they learned to live, as a joint family. Even
Yeah.
we, when we used to go back home, we'd be there with cousins and uncles and aunts. So it meant sharing things, not having everything,
Sure.
so adjusting. So all those things would make you a better human being, you know.
Hmm.
But those things are all gone now. Every family has one child or maximum two children, and these two children are so fussy, they will do only what they want. They'll not come
Yeah.
out and meet their guests, if they don't want. They won't listen to the music they don't like. They won't adjust to anything that is not agreeable with them. So that itself
Yeah.
becomes such a big obstacle. For example, if I walk into a house with a family, they don't want to listen to this, they don't want to, it's all so boring. Why did you make this kind of food? We want pizza, we want this. Ultimately
Absolutely.
what happens is that there's discord in everything, you know and you know it makes you feel upset that, see, they just can't have a normal conversation without arguing or getting each other upset.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, yeah, there is. I just read one more statement or a question from someone, which was very interesting. I think it was Jay Ishan. Hi, Jay. How are you doing? I like this question. I like such questions because it also makes us
Yeah.
think. Is being
Yeah.
selfish unhealthy?
Yeah. Okay.
I love that. I myself say it's good to be selfish as long as you know what the real meaning of selfishness
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, these are words which have negative connotations,
Yeah.
but independently, what it means is for yourself. But in
Mm.
yourself, if you are selfish for you, your family, your parents, your cousins, okay, your relatives, and then as you get more spiritual, then you're selfish for the world. Like you want everything for the world. So, in some sense, selfishness has that negative connotation, which is always in a comparative. Like, I'm selfish. I want this, but others should not have. So, that is the negative part. That's unhealthy, Jay. I think generally, there's nothing wrong to be materialistic, I feel, Meena, because we're living in a Kali Yuga. We cannot have the cake and eat it too. Like, we can't be spiritual and and leave the world and go because we have a family to look after.
Yeah.
Today when my son says I want to have a pizza, I have to earn money to get a pizza,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So but is it that I feel a little angry or upset that somebody else is taking somebody else to a five-star hotel, but I'm not able to take my son to a five-star hotel? That is where I think I should educate myself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, right? Again, the
Yeah. Yeah.
comparison that
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
I have my own ecosystem.
Mm.
One more thing is, going beyond selfishness, I feel, Meena, that people are also commenting about, and you made a statement about the Flipkarts and the Amazons of the world today. They are, we never had that when we were kids, right? I mean, we didn't even have mobile phones, and it was so beautiful. Yeah. Today, people play so many games on the mobile. The only thing left is to get married and and go for honeymoon on the mobile. It's become that bad. Everything is virtual.
Yeah, yeah,
Fortunately, we really played games. But coming to the online orderings thing, it's become so convenient for us. It's become so easy for us, and there
yeah.
are sales. I
Mm.
mean, I picked up a phone myself because it was my dream to buy a phone. I was materialistic. I wanted that material called a phone, which was for 21,000. I got it for 7,000 rupees on a Mintra. Now, is it wrong? No, but do I need to curtail that habit? I think
Yeah,
that's where that's where spirituality and that introspection helps a lot.
yeah,
Because if
yeah,
I start getting, it's so easy. So I just order. You know how it used to be that time. I don't know now. People don't use a lot of credit cards. People use
yeah,
debit cards.
yeah,
Now people use GPay. But there was a time when people used to have credit cards, and
yeah,
that was another bad thing for many of us because it used to make us find it very easy to spend. No,
yeah,
because pay later. No, but
yeah,
then later it becomes a headache. So all
yeah,
these things, I think today's things that are happening, Namina, are all
yeah,
contributing to, I think, the way we look at people, the way
yeah,
we look at ourselves, the way we lead our
yeah,
lives. That is why I believe the role of practical, positive, spiritual aspect
yeah.
plays an important role.
You know, when I was coming back, returning from Dubai, so when the Packers came, that's when I realized that, see, I had hoarded so much. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm as guilty as the others, and I found, my God, there were so many things, that I didn't even need, and I don't know for what. I used to say, whenever we socialize, when we call people, we'll have this and that and that. We never used many of them. It was just kept
yeah,
there, and you can imagine the kind of cost bringing that all to India. So
true,
that's
true, true.
one thing that we have to learn, is that live minimum, buy only
Yeah,
what you really need. you know
true,
Rest, everything is extra. Another point, Mayur, I
true.
wanted to say is that, see, when you look at today's world, there are many people tricking other people, in business,
Yeah.
in sort of scams, or saying that,
Mm.
see, I need so much money very urgently. If you give it to me, I'll give it to you within a month. Then what happens? It becomes reverse. You have to, play the role of asking for your money, which
Yeah,
becomes
yeah,
pathetic because it's your
yeah,
money, and
yeah,
you can't ask for it because you feel shy.
yeah.
So you become the, what you call, the person who's the villain in the piece.
True, true,
So
true.
this sort of, cheating and making use of people is also something very, very vicious that's happening now.
And where is it originating from, Meena, is
Yeah.
greed, no? At the end of
Yes.
the day, it's greed, no?
Absolutely.
Because why am I asking for money is because I want something.
Yeah.
That want may not be
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
Like I may be enjoying driving a lovely Maruti car,
Yeah.
a Swift Desire, for example, a lovely car. But after a few years,
Mm.
because everybody's changing the cars, I would
Yeah.
also want to go and get a new car, and for that I need money. And that's,
Yes.
I think, what propels in people, some of the people, the 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 pleasant shamelessness to go and ask somebody. I'm using a very strong word, but pleasant,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want to go and ask a cousin for a lakh of rupees because it's awkward, right?
Yeah.
And there's an obligation that happens on the other side. Except
Yeah.
I feel, Meena, when probably there is a need
Mm.
based on medical situations,
Yeah.
because sometimes the medical bills are so humongous that you need to.
Mm.
But for materialistic needs,
Yeah.
if people are going to ask money,
Yeah.
that is, as you rightly said, is a reflection of the corrosion of the value system.
Yes.
जो हिंदी में there's a word खुददारी,
Yes.
self-respect.
Yeah.
That sometimes people are, I think, very, very subtly compromising because they're like,
Yes.
I want that iPhone for 1 lakh. I will
Mm.
borrow, but I want that phone.
Yeah.
I think that has to go away. And I think you're right. It depends on how I spend my time and think, do I really need it?
Yeah.
There was a time
And
when we used
also,
to use mobile phones, which is just a Nokia nice phone. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It did its job to call. Today, we call less, but we use the phone for everything else.
See, another thing is, how many times have we actually, patted ourselves for doing something good for others. For example, when somebody's in a hurry in a traffic, you allow him to go, or you help a lady with some bags, or you pay something to a homeless person. And if you see an old lady, you pay her something. So how many times have we done it? Because I find it very strange that in YouTube, people are just highlighting that as though that is a very rare gesture. Isn't
Yeah.
it time that all of us did something for people we see who are genuinely helpless? Or
Yeah.
see, even if someone is walking with bags, and if the door is near you, if you open the door for them, that's just a kind gesture. Picking up
True.
something for someone who can't bend.
True.
So many things that you could do, which parents need to teach their children.
True, true, true.
you know
Because
yeah.
that is how you instill those values of respecting relationships, becoming
Yes,
humble,
yes.
isn't it?
Yeah,
True, true.
yeah.
So they say that instead of catching fish for your friend, you should teach that friend how to catch the fish.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
we should educate people. Now, I'll give you a simple example. Like I've seen a father scolding a son because the son didn't do well in sports because he was very good in studies, but the father wanted the son to be a great sportsman, yeah, at least be
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good, and he would keep
yeah,
giving examples of others. And this is where there has to be a change, Meena. I feel when a son, a youngster, keeps getting hammered about the fact that he that guy is better, you're not. That guy is better, you're not. That's where the comparative aspect starts awakening within the kid in a very negative way,
yeah,
because the father is instilling unknowingly this feeling that you have to be better than somebody else. And that's
yeah,
where I've read this nice quote which says the first competition is with yourself. Like you become better if you're
yeah,
playing at say 7 out of 10, you improve and go to 8 out of 10. Forget about
yeah,
others. Are you improving yourself? I think that is something I'm trying to instill in my kids as well. Like
yeah,
I do not, to Aryan, who's now in 10th, I never talk to him about what you want to become and all. He will become something, whatever that is. I just
yeah,
say explore. Like
yeah,
he wanted to get into archaeology, watching a lot of Indiana Jones stuff and all. So I said, yeah, go explore. Then suddenly he says, I want to go on the ship because he loves the oceans. But if I say, what are you crazy? You should be a banker. Because in my
yeah.
head, I wanted to be a banker,
He's
for
good at
example.
maths. Yeah, yeah.
So this, I think, this has to change from us, and we have to instill
See,
those values, Meena.
yeah, I'll just tell you an incident that happened long time back. It was, when I was getting married. And, in Kerala, you will find that the custom of wearing lot of jewelry, it's a
Mm.
joke. In Kerala, people, women wear, jewelry just like, it's like so heavy, and it's like you can't see the girl, but you only see the jewelry. So, at that, when it was my wedding time, my parents, mom said, let's go shopping for gold, and I found
Mm.
that, very strange going and buying gold jewelry. And I went with her, and my father. And they were selecting some heavy kind of this thing. My mother was not my father. My father wasn't bothered, so she selected some like 3 strands of gold, which is very expensive, and uh, and my mother said, see, this is the fashion everybody needs to this thing. So they were discussing that. Then I told my mother, see, I know, because see, I know how my father struggled and how my mother struggled. I know, how much that the gold necklace is costs. And I told my mother, I don't want to wear that. Okay, I like simple
Mhm.
jewelry. Can you do me a favor? Don't buy it. So just because I would rather look simple. And there were 2 things to it, Mayur. One thing is that I didn't want them to spend so much, you know
Mm. Correct.
and one thing, the second thing is that, see, as a person, I preferred simpler stuff. So
Sure.
if this happens with the present generation today, I see a lot of weddings happening in different places. The kind of money they spend on resort
Oh yeah.
weddings and things,
Yeah.
and everybody gets even a package. Even the guests get package to spend the shopping and all that. Of course, that could be black money, also.
Mm.
Yeah. So where it's not black money, children should
Mm.
think,
Yeah.
why are the parents spending so much? you know
Mm.
they
Mm.
should step in and say, why don't you in fact keep that for your old age? Let us earn what we need to do with our, we are young, let us, see, you are spoiling your children by telling them that, see, we are giving you money that's easy. and you can do
Yeah.
whatever you like with it.
True.
So
True.
even as parents, you are telling your children to become spoiled, even if they're not spoiled.
Correct.
you know so a
Absolutely.
lot of our practices in India are
Yeah.
detrimental to people's future lives. These are
Absolutely.
just some of the
Absolutely.
examples, not weddings and so many things. you know
True.
Buying a car, it's become such a trend that when it's a birthday, get a car. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? In olden times, we used to, a whole lifetime we used to plan to buy a car, you know and then when we get into that car, there's so much of satisfaction,
Of course.
because
Of course.
that's that one only car that you're going to have all your life. you know
Yeah.
so things
True.
have changed now. If the girl has a teenager, she's a teenager, she has a birthday, you have a car coming wrapped in a ribbon. What are you teaching her?
Absolutely.
you
Maybe
know
that person doesn't even know how to drive a car, but she's
yes,
getting a gift.
yes. There's a very good statement made by Sheikh Mohammed of Dubai. So he said that, see, his forefathers, they drove camels because it was tough times, and his father drove camels, and then he drove a old car, or whatever it is, a Mercedes or whatever. Then his son
Mm,
became into Lamborghini, a Maybach or
mm,
whatever. Because with time, you make your children soft
yeah.
and useless. You know,
Correct.
when you are tough, you are able to handle any situation, whether
Correct.
your parents are there with you, your friends are there with you, or not. You know how to, look after yourself and your family. So,
True.
isn't that important for our, parents now, instead of giving in so easily to children to everything? You know,
See, Meena, the question is, because I'm a parent myself, I'm a
yeah,
father.
yeah,
The question is, how much time do we really spend
yeah,
in communicating with our kids?
yeah,
I bring the kids part in this context of the topic that we are talking about is because they are the next generation, isn't it?
yes, yes,
And if we do not instill those values of not being greedy or being positively selfish, if I can use that
yes,
term,
yeah,
uh, looking or planning out your life and not expecting pampering all the time. If we
yeah,
don't instill that, who will? You think
yeah,
the teachers in the school are going to do that? I don't
yeah,
think so, because they have topics, they have subjects to
mm,
talk and teach. Yes, I do think, like Martin says, it should be taught in school. I mean, he mentioned something about that. Yes, but I wish it happens. But we have an opportunity to talk to kids, or if maybe there's a person who isn't married but he has a niece and a nephew.
yeah,
It's instilling and educating kids about how to lead a life
yeah,
is what will really, to some extent, help in changing the mindset. Because I'll tell you one thing, as we are going forward, the aspect of materialism, mobiles, everything is going to be, it's just going to gallop further. Because I'm not saying like a TV is not an idiot box in that
yeah,
sense. There are channels which are idiot channels. There are
mm,
some channels which are very good.
mhm,
Similarly, uh, being materialistic is not bad as long as we know how
mm,
much, no?
yes,
Like giving a car as a gift to
mm,
somebody on a birthday is too much.
yeah,
But helping the person understand how to, maybe how, the mechanics of a car, if the
yeah,
person really loves the car, teach the person. I think
yeah,
that has to happen. But we can't run away from the fact, Meena, that things are only going to get more tempting for us.
yeah,
There are laptops coming in, there are these touch laptops, and all we need is a normal laptop. And yet
yeah,
somebody says, I'm going to spend 2 lakhs and get that, when you can get the same or a utility based laptop for
yeah,
45 grand. But
mm,
the person wants a 2 lakh one because that looks good. The best part is, a lot of things, Meena, we get, we don't even use 60% of it.
yes,
So I think at that, my final submission to you is that if we have to look at change in the way relationships move forward, it has to start with the way the kids get
yeah,
educated on how to relate with people. Interpersonal relationships are very important, interpersonal, and
yeah,
it should, I think, be inculcated in kids. And that's the
yeah,
responsibility of elders like us.
yeah. So another point here, Mayur, is that
Yeah,
now going on to the opposite side now. See, if you make your children soft, that they can't handle situations or people, how do they make out when they go to a work environment, or wherever they are, between people who are vicious
yeah,
and people who are genuine? you know what is
true.
the yeah, how do you warn them? How do you make them understand? Because they could be innocent at all, by all means.
Yeah.
So, and they could get trapped into certain things which they should not get.
Correct. Correct. So the best example for this, Meena, is to understand that softness doesn't mean weakness.
Yes,
Softness doesn't mean being submissive. So they
yes,
say there are three aspects of human nature, right? Attitudes. One is the passive attitude, all right? The other is the assertive attitude, and the other is the aggressive attitude. You're talking about kids sometimes who are aggressive in school, they're
yes,
bullies,
yeah,
and you get bullies even in the corporate world. They
yeah,
bully in a different way, right? What I'm talking about when to respond to your aspect of softness is being assertive.
yeah,
And being soft doesn't mean you're like, like a candle that's melting. Not that softness. You got to be firm, you got to be polite. And I think that's where the responsibility again arises of the parent to instill. Like when I used to get bullied a little bit in school because I was plump, and it happens, I was at the receiving end. My father, he didn't instill and all that. Like he just said, you need to stand up for what don't get bullied like this. Yeah. But he did a very smart thing. He put me in martial arts. All right. Because I was having a complex of being a little plump, and I was myself like a Tare Zameen Pe wandering around on the football field. I can't play football because I was heavy. But he realized that the core reason for me to get bullied was me getting shy and conscious of my weight. So he put me in martial arts where I could, lose weight,
look
plus
after
also
yourself. Yeah,
because in martial arts, no, in karate, you get conditioned. They hit you on the
yeah,
stomach. They literally make you feel pain. So later on, after 7, 8 months, when I was used to go to school, the self-confidence automatically arose because you already beaten up in the martial arts. So what will these guys do here? Plus, you're taught how to also respond. So it was Karthik. It was karate, not taekwondo. Karate. Uh, and then they make you really rigorously do a lot of dips
mm,
and stuff, and I lost some weight as well.
mm,
Now
mm,
this, how am I bringing this in the context of what you asked,
mm.
is be soft with respect to being respectful,
Yeah,
but don't be so soft that somebody can take advantage of you and say
yeah,
what they want to say, do what they want to. You have to
yeah,
be able to
exactly.
fight back, right?
Yeah,
And that's where, if you look at countries, for example, like China, or these South Korea. Do you know that they, in their school, they also teach, it's compulsory to learn martial arts?
yeah,
Yeah. And I just saw one small little clip from a movie where Nana Patekar says that in India, every person should compulsorily be sent for 1 year in the defense,
yes, army. Yeah,
because they learn discipline, they learn to
yeah,
respect the soldiers more. So
yeah.
putting all this into perspective, be
It's the
firm,
same thing. Yeah,
be polite. Yeah, but
mm,
don't be soft enough that people take advantage of you.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's probably a good point that you raised, that
mm,
kids should
mm.
be properly educated on how to be confident, not overconfident,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
not diffident as well. Maintaining
yeah,
your self-respect and at the same time respecting others.
yeah. Meera makes an important point. She says the few friends who are genuine will be with you no matter what your bank balance is. They are true friends, a blessing.
True, true, true.
Yeah,
Well, it's they say you may not be able to choose relatives, but you can choose your friends.
yeah.
And there's another
In fact,
beautiful
even
saying, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. In fact, even in this point, see, TT says with mobile phones, it has become convenient for people not to pick up the call and just say so, was busy, but in real, they're not. Here also, you see a lot of rudeness,
Yeah,
and, what you call snobbishness coming in
yeah,
with the phone because they'll answer only the calls that they really want to. And, poor people get sidelined in the process.
yeah, yeah, yeah. True. I once inquired with somebody, like, "How are you doing?" And what I got as a reply was a thumbs up. And I'm like, "Come on, yeah, you could
Yeah,
always
yeah,
say I'm doing good,
yeah,
but this thumbs up. And how's the
yeah,
job going? Thumbs up." I said,
yeah,
"Yeah, yeah, thumbs up." It's become so convenient. It's
yeah,
almost like he's not interested. He's only
mm,
replying because if he doesn't reply, it really looks bad. But I think
yeah,
that's right. We've been pampered with certain things like
mm,
mobiles and
mm,
smartphones and all, that it has taken away the realness that we used to use in
yeah,
relationships, like call, talk. And when I look at my mom, she still doesn't know how to, use a smartphone. I say, you're lucky. She only now uses to order something, from a Vani, to get some
yeah,
rice, this, that.
yeah, yeah.
But sometimes overload of knowledge about a smartphone is detrimental. It's better to be
Yeah,
simplistic. And I think the
Yes.
kids also need to sort of, the parents should take that lead as well, because so many kids today are having wonderful relationships with the mobile phones.
Yeah.
I think if that goes down, there'll be a beautiful evolution of actual relationships here. The
Yeah.
coldness will probably slowly get warmer.
Yeah. Also, I think next generation should also be aware of other things. For example, whenever you go onto YouTube or any of the social media, you'll find very simple ads telling you that we can give you a loan very easily, or you can meet a girl very easily, or a boy very easily.
Yeah.
Always understand that there is something at the end of it. Because I'll just tell you an example. See,
Sure.
my maid came and she told me that she was petrified, and she told me that her young daughter, had a married daughter, had asked for a loan, had taken a loan from some the thing that came in, in the YouTube, and she took about 10,000. And before she gets the money, she has to give all a picture and all for Aadhaar card and all that details and all that. So she gave, being innocent, they gave side picture, everything and all that. Now, from day one, he asks her, when are you going to return the money?
Hmm.
Now, when she says it will take a little time, then he says, if you don't return it immediately, I will be posting pornographic pictures of you. And he shows examples of it, you see. So then they
Wow.
came very worried, and I said, okay, they've already complained to the cyber police. I said, change your SIM card. Don't allow them to call you again, and the cyber police should be able to help you. Now, you know what's the answer of the cyber police? The cyber police says that, see, we've been getting so many complaints about this. You
Hmm.
should go to another section of the police. I don't understand why the police don't take action. And
Hmm.
yeah, they have problems. For example, these people are so dicey, they change their address all the time, so you can't actually pin them down.
Sure.
But my advice to parents and children, who are older, is that, see, don't go for the easy path. If you want to meet girls and all, meet them properly in some function or whatever. why
Yeah.
why do you need all these apps? Because half these dating apps are traps,
Yeah.
where
True.
pornographic stuff is made. There was a girl who came to our channel who completely exposed it and said that these
Oh.
top actors use these girls, in what they call certain rooms, which is all again through Zoom, and make them do awful things, and then they become addicted to it. So these are things that parents need to warn, that there are vicious people who come in the garb of simple ads and simple, things. You think that, oh, it's so easy. Let me just make some money. I'll take so much money and I'll double it. Now,
True.
another biggest problem is these gambling apps.
Hmm.
You'll see it's being promoted on every channel, and they themselves warn you that, see, this is addictive. Be careful. You may lose
Hmm.
money. Then why the
Yeah.
hell are you making children play with these apps?
True.
So
True.
these are things I think you should really warn your
Yeah.
children, that
True.
you get into that web, then you can't get out.
True. 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 I mean, there
Because
are
see,
certain.
most of these parents are coming from middle class. They don't want their children to be exposed to pornographic pictures and all that being sent to everyone in their address book. Instead of protecting
True.
the child, they'll say, no, no, let's just forget it.
Hmm.
So the web
True.
becomes bigger and bigger.
Absolutely. 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 It's like I said, Meena, uh, it's only going to get more complex, more murkier, because if there are good people,
Yeah,
there are many people with sick mindsets here.
yeah.
And like you
So,
said,
uh,
somebody blackmailing somebody on
yeah.
that. I mean,
Karthik
look at
is
the.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah. A fraud came on OLX and started emotionally threatening my sister when she was selling her furniture. He started
Hmm.
using emotional pressure to counter her. These people are there everywhere. Yes, very frightening. Especially, see, now you have a family to protect you, it's okay. But if you're a young girl or a young boy, you get caught in the web. And
Absolutely.
after some time, it's too late. You can't extricate yourself.
True. 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 It's very important, Meena, to be so. I think today's times, it's all the more important that we are far more alert, far more cautious here.
Yeah,
And there are people waiting to take advantage. uh,
yes,
they say that you should not reveal too much
yeah,
about yourself. Now,
yes,
for example, when we are on Facebook or Instagram and stuff, some of us, we are very active, because I do that in the
yeah,
context of my work and my
yeah,
paintings, etc., whatever, my book. But at the same time, I have to be very alert. Recently, I got a message somebody's following me on Instagram and like, um, would you like to have $2,000 in your bank account?
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, suddenly, and I'm like, what with WHAAAT? I didn't know
Yeah,
what.
yeah,
I was like a little disoriented with that.
yeah.
And the next thing was just say yes and it'll be deposited. I immediately went to that account. I just blocked that account because it's scary. Um, Probably they
So at
wanted
your
to
age,
engage.
see, at your age, you're scared. Can you
Yeah,
imagine small kids and young girls?
yeah.
You
They
know,
so by the time they realize they're already in it, and that's the
yeah,
scary part here.
yes.
It's a slippery path ahead, but we got to be very careful. And hi Anuradha.
Welcome,
Hello.
Anuradha.
Yes,
Friends, you're
good
welcome to
evening.
join us and ask questions to Mayur. Please just make it brief as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
Anu, yeah.
Good
Welcome,
evening,
Anu.
Meena, and Har
Good
Har
evening.
Mahadev, Mayur.
Har Har Mahadev. Har Har
Har
Mahadev.
Har Mahadev. Okay,
The
so
second
very,
Har,
very brief.
the second Har is where you should feel something in your gut. Har Har
Yeah,
Mahadev. It's like a.
Got it.
All right, your question.
So very, very quickly, so that everybody can join in. I think the live chat is filled with comments, and each one of them is so right. Whether it is about leading a simpler life, whether it is about social media. And I think Nisha spoke about keeping up with the Jones, and I think Metal Film said,
Hello.
less is more. Um, I think we as parents, as teachers, as parents, as, anyone who influences society, let us also walk the talk. And,
Hello.
we often children
we
get
Hello.
can hear you,
influenced.
Mayur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So often children get influenced by their parents who tell them don't be materialistic, it is important to be spiritual, etc. And then the parents, for whatever reasons of their own, they're buying the latest mobile phone, they're buying the latest car, they're holidaying at fancy destinations. And often you would see them, from fancy destinations. And this is true of the people that we call celebrities
yeah,
who tweet about living a simpler life, and they've tweeted probably from an AC car using an iPhone or from a
yeah,
very fancy destination. This is
yeah,
not about being judgmental,
yeah,
but it's just about walking the talk.
yeah,
Being simple is very important, and it's very easy. We just need to walk that talk. And very quickly about mobile phones, I'll just share an incident. I
yeah,
happened to be at a picnic spot, and I found a mother and a daughter trying to take pictures against a very scenic area, and they were taking pictures of each other. So I was waiting for my son, and I said, would you like me to click a picture of both of you?
yeah,
And she said, yes, I would like to. And this is just when COVID had just lifted, and we were still being very careful. So she was handing me her phone, and I said, you know what, I'll take it with my phone and I'll just forward it to you. So I
yeah.
said, because of COVID, changing. Then she looks at me and she says, what phone do you have?
Mm,
So I said, excuse me? She said, is it an iPhone? So I said, no. She said, oh, forget it then. And I was like, oh my God. And my son said, Mom, you're not the kinds to keep quiet. What did you say? I said, I was too taken aback. I was too taken aback, but iPhone users, and this is not, many of my friends, including one or two members of my family, also use iPhones, but they're a league of their own, is all I can say. but but also, I think Karthik spoke about weddings. Yes, very important. In fact, about 8 months ago, my elder son got married, and by choice, not just because it was towards the end of COVID, but my son and my daughter in law were both very clear. They want a very simple home ceremony. They just wanted the immediate family and a couple of friends. So initially, actually, it took me some time to wrap my head around that one, because we're so used to inviting everybody. And I said, okay, I'll invite this friend and I'll invite this friend. And my son said, Mom, the list is, he said, stop it, don't. And we just had a very, very simple ceremony with just the immediate relatives. And the children knew what they were doing. It turned out actually to be a very happy and a very simple and a lovely ceremony. And with the whatever the money was saved or whatever I gave it where I felt it needed to be
Yeah, so
given.
true. See, that's what
And
should be done.
yeah, but what I'm saying is it took me also time to wrap my head around it.
No, see,
And
Anu,
yeah,
see, the thing, fact is that, see, you changed your mindset. Okay? By
yes,
speaking, you're changing the mindset of many others who are listening to you. It's
yeah.
just like
So
follow the leader. It
yeah.
happens.
So even today, I feel if I had called one friend, but then again, that's that societal narrative that we've all
Yeah.
bought into. But
No,
I'm
I'll tell you
learning
for a
and
fact. No, Anu, I'll tell you for a fact. In Kerala, Mayur, see, we went for the wedding of a relative. And the whole, it's the typical Kerala wedding where you have it in huge auditoriums, AC auditoriums, and then you have the stage where the couple stands, and then the people go and wish. You know, you should have seen the queue, and then the queue for the food. I said, where is the celebration? I mean,
yeah,
the
correct.
couple is looking so tense, the parents are looking so tense, and
Yeah,
the people who are serving food, don't know who to serve what, because everybody,
yes,
it's all like a hodgepodge. Then where is the fun in a wedding? And at the same time, I saw another cousin's wedding where they had it in their house. They had a huge lawn and an extended lawn where they just called, limited people, and they had it in a very, fun dancing to old English songs, and, just simple food, and it was fun. So,
Yeah.
if you want, you can always change the way you do things, the way your children do things, and you can tell them, don't be ashamed. It's not because we don't have money, it's because we want you to learn values,
yeah.
and to respect the fact that, see, money means something. Money is for spending, right? Don't give it more importance than it should.
It's just a tool. It's just a tool, a necessary tool for living. And here
Yeah,
I must say it's my children who taught us rather than me teaching my
the
children,
other
so
way.
that's valuable. And very quickly before I sign off, because we live in this society of materialism and it's a different day from our simpler days, when I feel inadequate, when I feel that I cannot afford something that my neighbor can afford, etc., etc., that is what leads to vicious behavior, judgmental behavior, because I'm so unhappy with myself and my status that it leads me to become nasty and vicious. And the
Yeah,
simpler we are, I just feel it gives us an opportunity to be more at peace and a little
yeah,
kinder. That's all.
yeah.
I log out
In
now
fact,
so that others
Anu,
can
before
join.
you leave, I'll just tell you one more incident. Mayur, just a few minutes of your time. Uh,
Yeah.
we were invited to a wedding in Delhi. Now, this is a typical Punjabi wedding, and I didn't know all this, so we went there thinking that, it'll be really fun and all that. And then we were with the bridegroom side, and with them, we were going in this car, and they dance in front, and they have this dholak and all that. And that actually takes 1 hour because these people drink on the way, so there's a van that's going with all the drinks also, so they're drinking and dancing. They dance for 1 hour because they're going to ask the bride, you know to pay so much money to them.
Yes.
So I didn't know that. I said, okay, 5 minutes is going to get over. Then it became 1 o'clock. Then I said, this is the limit. I should have some food and go. That's how. And I don't understand. See, it's all about the people are good and all that. But what I'm saying is customs. Why? Why is it all about money? Isn't it about relationships? Can't you change a few things? I mean, yes, from back old days, it would have been throwing money or tying money around your head or whatever. You can make it less materialistic and make it
Ostentatious.
more about,
Yes.
yeah, more about relationship, because it's one family getting attached to another family. Though you're talking about a husband and wife, it's actually two families coming together. So that can be made, easier and softer, depending, of course, if both agree. That's it. Yeah, Mayur, back
And
to you.
maintaining the sanctity of the relationship
Yes,
and the
yes,
ceremony. Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
And
Wow.
as they say, Mayur, I think you'll also agree. If couples spent as much time planning their marriage as they spent planning the wedding, then we
Yeah.
would have a lot more happy marriages. Thank you.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Anu. Yeah.
Take care.
Yes, back to you,
Thanks,
Mayur.
Anu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was smiling and laughing because Karthik is so funny. Karthik writes, he wrote that once he went to a wedding and the queue was so long that he literally came back without eating the dinner. So I can imagine Karthik like turning around, Baba, this is too much. Let me go home and have my dinner. But Meena, lovely points actually came out of what Anuradha said. But it'll be interesting if I can also add
Yeah.
my own perspective on this. Could be
Yes,
a
please,
little
please.
counter, like a counter to the both of
Yes,
you. Can
please.
I do that? Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
fun. So my way of looking at it is this, Meena. There is a line that we need to draw. How much is enough? Now, please understand that I know of a friend of mine who is genuinely a very nice person but uses a iPhone. Okay, why does he use an iPhone? Because he makes lovely reels. So he says, I whatever the features, he gets it on the iPhone. So do I judge him? No. So I'm not going to generalize.
Yeah.
That person that Anuradha was speaking about, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
don't say that. Uh, Anuradha is wanting to help out, and you're like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Arre, at least get it done because she's put coming forward to help you out. So I believe we can have an iPhone or we can have the most expensive car. Think is important, no, Meena, is to be able to instill parallelly the right value system.
Yes.
Like if somebody says, Meena, to me that, hey, I dream of buying a Bentley car, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't judge him or judge her for that because that's his dream, Meena. But
Yeah.
by getting it, if he's going to lose out on relationships, if he's going to be greedy and borrow, 1 crore rupees to buy the Bentley, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But if the person is strong enough to earn and get his fulfill his materialistic desire because we're living in that world, Meena, and at the
Mm.
same time he respects others who probably is an auto rickshaw driver, I would say that's where he's had the cake and he's eating it too. That he's
Yeah.
respectful to people, but he
Yeah.
he enjoys driving a Bentley. I hope
Yeah.
you're getting where I'm coming from. Is
Yes. Yes.
I would say at the core,
Mm.
is my child, does he empathize with a person who doesn't have anything? Does he feel that? That's more important.
Yeah.
And
So two
generally, I
more.
think being
Yeah.
simplistic is probably the most important thing. Yeah, being
Yeah.
simplistic. So yeah. Anyway,
Two more funny points coming from Mira. Happened to me too. Got fed up of waiting for a place to eat the traditional wedding sadhya at a relative's wedding.
what
Yeah.
happened to me? Got fed up for a. Well, I know.
And
There
also
are.
Karthik,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he
Please go.
says, Mayur sir, once I went for a wedding reception and I was the first one to enter the hall. The entire bride and groom team came after 9 p.m. Till then, I was chatting with the hall manager.
Karthik, I think you seem to have not the best luck with weddings. But anyway, this happens. I mean, I've come across certain times when the person who's having a puja.
Mm.
Okay, he tells the priest, "Can you please finish it quickly? I'm getting
Yeah.
hungry." So these things happen. Well, that also is a reflection of whether the guy really wants to do the puja or is he doing it
Mm.
because it's a mechanical requirement.
Yeah.
And then you have a house, you have to have the ghar pravesh and the puja. But are you feeling the stotrams and the intonations that are taking place of the Sanskrit
Yeah.
verses? Are you feeling it? Sometimes people do it because they're supposed to do it. That
Yeah.
also is, I think, a sad situation. I mean, that they don't even feel what is
Yeah.
happening here. And and,
Absolutely.
and I think it's an interesting discourse we're having here, discussion we're having
Mm.
here, which I think will make people think. Like even I think as I'm speaking with you, is how am I? What extra efforts am I taking to instill those values in my Aryan and Malvika?
Yeah.
They also use phones and stuff. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
pluck it off because it's utility based today,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
Meena in the pandemic time. People
Mm.
were using phones, no, to do all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
online school bill, laptop, all that. So technology did help, but are
Yes.
we also parallelly instilling in them the value system,
Yeah.
respect, being empathetic, having positive polite communication,
Yeah. Yeah.
self confidence,
Mm.
all that is important.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Even in Karnataka, see, if there's a custom where, if you, for example, you give something to to your neighbors, like, some food you make special, a cake or something, and you give it to them, we normally give it very well covered and so in a plate or thing. So this time my son was saying, Mom, just don't give it in the plate because then they'll, be forced to return something because it's a habit. Like they would
Yeah.
give something else in
Yeah.
return, like an apple
Happens
or
with.
other thing.
Sure. Sure.
So I said, I was telling my son, Jaydev, what's important is the way you present it. Okay,
Yeah.
I can always give it in a disposable, a plate or a platter, but when you give something, you give it with respect.
Correct.
And that is given, is seen in how you present it. So
Absolutely.
everything you see, whether it's a ritual or a gesture or whatever, when you do it with respect, because you revere the person who's in front of you, and say that, see, whatever I'm giving you, is out of respect, so that you enjoy it. That
Correct.
feel, it's a feeling more than what you're giving, that
True.
matters. And that's everything, Mayur, in life. Everything. I'm not talking about food or anything.
True.
Anything that you give, even a conversation. See, that sometimes when you get very irritated and you're in the midst of a lot of work and somebody keeps on, troubling you, but you say something politely because you know that, see, that person doesn't feel the urgency of what you're undergoing. So please,
Correct.
I'll get back to you later. You say something, but that matters.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
like you said, somebody said thumbs up. There are times, I mean, I wouldn't blame the person. Perhaps he was so busy, whatever, but you couldn't feel it. You wanted to discuss something more. And so
Yeah.
you felt hurt, you see. So it's very important that you imbibe these things in your children, saying that,
True.
see, don't treat people like, just faces.
True.
You have to treat them with emotions, and
True.
stuff. And
The other
see,
day.
one
Yeah.
thing very important, Mayur, is that especially with your home staff, people who
Correct.
come, and work for you. Sometimes children ask strange questions. So I always tell them, look at them, look at their feelings. They're living the same lives as us, on
True.
a smaller budget. And they undergo the same pains that we undergo. Suppose you ask me tomorrow, I'm going for an operation. Why are you taking so many days off? I'm going for an operation, you see. So I
Correct.
might need so much time to recoup, or
Correct.
my daughter or my son. So give them the same space. And
Absolutely.
only if you can
Absolutely.
be kind to them,
Yeah.
can you be valued as a human being.
Absolutely. They say in English that it is nice to be important, but it is more important to be nice.
Yeah,
And that is such an important thing for us in today's world, where relationships are measured, unfortunately, more by what you have, what I don't have, and etc.
yeah,
But just being respectful and being nice. I remember when I took my kids out for dinner, and they love the food, okay, and the food was terrific. And after the bill was about to come and I had to pay, in that time I just said, "Did you really love it?" "Oh, Anu," they call me Anu. "Anu, it was really tasty." So I just signaled to the person, the manager, and I said, "Just come here." And then I said to the kids, and I told them, "What you told me, can you tell them, please?" And they were a little shy, they didn't know because they're kids, yeah. So I said, "Tell, no, uncle, the food was very tasty." And that this was Malika. Then Aaron also got a little more. "Uncle, that thing was very tasty." And the person was so touched.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
All you have to do is say it. There are
Yeah,
people, when, like I said about that, say, singing example, one Besur, and they talk only about that.
yeah,
Even in food, yeah. When something is good, you say it's
yeah,
cool. It's not like when something is bad, then you make a hoopla about it. That this is not what I was expecting, etc. I
yeah,
think instilling values of appreciating other people,
yeah,
and respecting other people. I come back to the same, is so important for any relationship to prosper, right? I remember in school, the person who was the richest, because we could see the pencil box and all, he had the most friends, and I was there just walking tare zameen pe, because I had my normal one. My dad said, "You can
yeah,
write, a
yeah,
pencil is important. Which pencil?
yeah,
It doesn't matter. You have to write. Writing is important." So I
yeah.
guess that
See, even
such things will
even
definitely
Mayur,
matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
even Mayur. See, you'll notice that, see, before people die, sometimes what happens is they will tell you something, okay, just come and see me or something, some gesture, or if they're in a hospital or something happens,
Mm,
at that time, do what they say, because that is the last moment perhaps you would see them, and that
mm,
will be a regret that you'll carry all over your life, all through your life. So it's always, see, lot of people say that, see, if somebody is sick, and you haven't had good vibes with him, it doesn't matter,
mm,
go and see him, because once you before you die, you'll regret having not patched up. So there are many things that you need to do, to sort of ease, whatever tensions you have in your mind about a certain person. you know Perhaps sometimes you don't like your brother, and your brother's done some harmful things to you, or he's not been in talking terms with you, and he's really
Mm,
sick. But it would
mm,
always be a good thing to go and say, and find out how he is, because he's reached a stage where he doesn't harbor any grudge against you. you know
true, true,
and he would have
true.
forgiven you, or you would have forgiven him. So
Yeah,
it's always this kind of thing. See, for example, now we meet on this show and we talk. The more happier we are, the easier we are with each other. It's all these positive vibes. If I
yeah,
come with some vengeance and I say that I don't like you, and you're getting too much importance, let me pull you down in my show and show you your place, which is what a lot of channels do. Anchors try to put people in place by saying that, see,
mm,
you're not so great. you know
mm,
so everything matters, Mayur, the way you
true.
behave. And see, half of the things, of course, are taught to you by parents and school, but half
Yeah,
of half of it has to come from experience.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. As we grow a little older and older, and that's you're right. Initially
Yeah.
it's the samskars that your parents, your grandparents instill along with the school, but then later
Yes.
on we have to flap our own wings. We have to observe. We have to
Yes.
understand. So my point is, I feel in schools as well, I think there has to be some aspect of spirituality.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about
Yes.
spirituality.
Yes.
A little bit of, something that's to do with deep breathing, for example,
Yeah.
sitting in silence for some time, mauna
Yes.
for some time, even for kids, just for some time. That's why, my dad, when he put me into martial arts, it was not just the fact that I was losing weight and getting muscles. I wasn't. I may have lost a little weight, but at the mind level, it gave me a lot of confidence. It gave me a lot of courage. What if a little bit of that martial arts is introduced in school?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I come from, so there are also samskars, no? That's also a samskar that a school
See,
will
what
be.
you said, Mayur, is so important. For example, now what you just said is so important. If there are classes in schools where you actually show people helping each other,
Yeah,
and the after effects on your body, even
mm,
medically, your body relaxes when you help somebody.
yeah,
You feel good. There's serotonin in your body. So many
yeah,
things move, in such a beautiful way that you change as a human being. The more you're
absolutely
kind, the more you become a better human being. you know
true.
when you hurt someone, it actually harms you, in the sense that you will carry it all right through
Yeah,
the night. Oh, I hurt somebody, I shouldn't have
absolutely,
done that. So I
absolutely.
think with that,
And this is,
Mayur,
yeah,
our session is almost come to an end.
yeah, this is a very interesting subject, like all the subjects are. Why I say it's interesting is because it never ends. It just goes, it makes us more introspective.
Yes.
And I think there are some key words that came out of our lovely conversation, and it was wonderful
Yes.
to have Anuradha, who brought in a very different but a very practical perspective on how we
Yeah.
can, measure ourselves with respect to spending and earning, etc. And
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure, Meena, to come on the
So shall
show.
we end,
And
yeah, with a prayer,
yeah,
as you
yes,
normally
yes,
do?
yes, I would love to. I would love to. I'll begin. Om Jagrat Swapna Sushupteshu Sputataraaya Samvidujrum या ब्रह्मादि पिपीलि कांतु तनुषो प्रोता जगत् साक्षिणी सैवाहं न च दृश्यवस्थित दृढ प्रज्ञापि यस्यास्ति चेत् चाण्डालोऽस्तु सतु द्विजोऽस्तु गुरुरित् येषा मनीषा मम ॐ जागृत् बोध सुधा मयूख निचयैः आप्लाव्य सर्वाधीशो यस्या कापि कला कलङ्करहिता षट्चक्रमाक्रामति दैनध्वान्तविदारणैकचतुरा वाचं परान्तन्वति सा नित्यां भुवनेश्वरी विहरतां हंसीव मन्मानसे ॐ नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, Meena.
much.
I love
Yeah.
coming to this show because it's free flowing, it's very contextual, it's very sensible. And what I love is people ask questions, and there are these funny, lovely people who come in and so Mr. Goodman just said, Karthik, next time for safer time, please carry a tiffin box. I mean, awesome. We had a lovely time, man, Meena. And I want to just request all of you to please, follow me on Instagram. It's Mayur Author Trainer. And I'm also, doing something on Vedic chanting. Meena, maybe we could have a nice little
Yes,
interaction on that.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
Vedic dance. So something
yeah,
else. But for now, thank you very much, Meena.
yeah,
Stay safe. I'll see you soon.
yeah. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.